Hey guys, what's going on? This is Adam Ever Miller with AE Tuts Plus, and today we are going to be looking at how to deal with complex logos or logos that have a lot of detail. I recently was told to animate this. This was the logo. You probably can't see it all too well, but it had a lot of detail to it, and I only had about a day to just throw something together. And I could, of course, just fade it in or whatever, but I wanted to do something that looked nice. So I'm thinking, do I want to maybe start behind the mountains and pull back and reveal a steeple and have the little wind, what do you call this, a wind sill or a gill or something, sieve, something, it's something. Wait, weather vane. Wow, yes, a weather vane. Have that kind of spin around or something. And yeah, anyway, I didn't have a lot of time, so I needed to come up with something quick and dirty. And so I think that this could probably help people just in dealing with um, anything. If you ever have anything with a government or a lot of schools, insignias or logos will just kind of be these high detail sort of images that are not the easiest to animate. A guy chopping down a tree and a bull. I don't think motion graphic artists were really high on the priority list of the government as they were making these, but when you do get something like this, hopefully today's quick tip will help you out. So anyway, I just created a new comp and I'll drop it in. Let me drop it in here so it's centered. Okay, and I'm going to scale it down to 40%, which should be good. And first thing that I want to do is, now this is a seal with an alpha channel. You might have it where it's just on white, but that shouldn't be a problem. Or if it's something that is, that has lots of color, you can just desaturate it. But I'm going to assume you'll start with just simple, black monochromatic with a monochromatic logo. So what we're going to do is let's go layer and then let's hit auto trace. And actually, before we do that, let's go to After Effects, Preferences, and then let's see, what was it? It was Appearance. And then we want to make sure that we have Cycle Mask Colors on. You totally don't have to do this, but basically if you want to see multiple colors as we have different masks, that might be something helpful. We're going to want to zoom really close into our logo, and then we'll come up to layer and auto trace. The reason we want to zoom up is because it's going to auto trace, and the only reason I say multiple colors is just so that you can see the variety here. You can also just choose a mask color and that would work as well, but right now, since I have a logo with an alpha channel, I can just set it to alpha and that's fine. But if not, you can also set it to luminance if it's maybe black on white or white on black. Down here, we got a couple different options: tolerance, threshold, minimum area, and corner roundness. I'm not going to really get into detail here, but you can kind of play with these different values. I set it up like this and I got a pretty good result. If you do have rounder corners, or if it's more bubbly logo, you can just play with the threshold and tolerance, but these settings here work pretty well. And of course, preview is set on so I can see what I'm working with. We want to apply this to a new layer. If we don't, it's just going to create a mask on the current layer. So let's apply it to a new layer, which is going to create a new solid and put those masks on there. So as I have the layer selected, we can see all of the masks. Now, depending on your computer and your speed, this render time could be a little thick and chunky. Also, depending on how complex your logo is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off. Just this little button will toggle masks on and off so that it's not too much to look at. And I'm going to rename this just to solid because it's a solid mask with masks, forming the outline. I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to call this one mask. And then I'm just going to shut these other ones off. I'm starting brand new. I could just use this one as a solid, but I just always like to keep the original as a separate thing. So I'll turn both of these off. And then one thing that is kind of cool is you'll notice the scale is set to 40. It created a new solid and scaled it to 40. So, I was thinking maybe we'd have to pre-compose it so that it's at 100%, but it's smart. It scaled it to 40 already for us. So that's kind of convenient. Okay, so now that we have this with all of our masks, we're going to come over here and apply stroke. Now, you might have Trapco 3D stroke. If you do, rock solid, you're a cool person. But we're not going to look at that today. We're just going to look at the built-in generate stroke that comes right with After Effects. And we'll kind of look at some of the functionality of it. Now, we first apply it, nothing happens. So we want to make sure that we come down here to Paint Style and click on Transparent. And what that's going to do is it'll basically make the solid itself invisible and only show the stroke. Okay, well, we see that the outline is on. And that's pretty much because we have the path set to mask 1. If we hit M, we can see that there are lots of masks to choose from. So we can choose whichever one we want to animate on, but you know, and we can see them all right here. Or we can just choose all masks. And that might take a second, but that is going to draw a stroke around every single mask path. But I'm going to turn that off for now just so that the render time is a little quicker. Moving down, we can choose the color of our stroke. We can choose the size. So, you know, change it to 10 or change our layer. You know, change it up. Obviously, it's going to make it a little bit fatter. And that's the outside. So maybe we would want to pre-compose because the outside of our layer is right there, but it won't affect what we're going to do. We have the brush hardness, which if you turn that down, it's going to make the brush softer, especially as you turn up turn up the brush size. It's going to, you know, it's going to just make the edge softer. Reset back and back to on transparent. We have the opacity, obviously. Spacing is something that, I mean, if you want to make it, it'll basically just like adds little dots so that the spacing isn't as tight, but we don't want to do that. We'll reset it back. And then we have the start and end values. So this is what I'm just going to cover right now. We'll start here. Basically, the start is at 0%, the end is at 100%. So if we bring our end 100% down, you're going to see that it's going to remove it. I mean, it'll unreveal or whatever. So let's leave that at 100. And what we can do is actually, let's set it to 0. We'll set a keyframe, and then we'll move forward 1 second. And we'll go ahead and bring it all the way back up to 100. So when I hit N and 0, do a quick ramp preview, we can see that it will trace on. Obviously, I would slow this down a little bit, but it's just going to create a nice little stroke outline of that mask path. If I turn on all mask paths and hit 0, it might take a second longer to render, but it's going to start at mask 1 and then go mask 2, mask 3. It's going to completely stroke each one of these masks individually, and it's going to be a very, very fast reveal. It's going to fly on like this. And obviously we would want to slow it down, but this is kind of a, you know, kind of a cool option. Additionally, I mean, and we have all masks selected, and we also have stroke sequentially on. If we turn this off, that means that it's not going to start at mask 1 and then once it's finished go to mask 2 and mask 3 and so on. It's going to start all masks at the same time and end them all at the same time. So the masks paths that are really long, it will take a while to reveal, like maybe these wide circles, whereas a little inner, you know, that'll take a while to go all the way around, or it'll happen really fast. But then these little guys inside here, you know, they go a little bit slower. And so it'll do them all at the same time. Again, not too complex, and I can zoom in here a little bit to make some room. I would want to slow that down, but we can see, just as an example, what this is kind of doing. Okay, so we have that, and how does that apply? Well, we could have it so that maybe our solid, if I lower the opacity, I turn this down, you know, I turn the opacity to 0. Oops, let me back that up. 0. I'm going to turn this down to half just so it'll render a little bit quicker. All right. And then I move forward to the end and then turn it up to 100. You know, this is an option so that it kind of starts the outline first, and then the rest of it maybe you could do like a gradient wipe, or some sort of a linear wipe to have this reveal on. But yeah, there's pretty much any option here. But if we do the stroke sequentially, and then do it, that might look a little bit cooler. So then it kind of you know, will work its way around and kind of outline it first before the main logo appears. You know, and obviously you can play with these settings. I'm just trying to run through this as quick as possible to save your time and let you play. But the other thing that's kind of cool that I thought would be neat is we have this other mask on top. Let me get rid of this guy. Obviously our end is animated, so let me get rid of this opacity. I'll just leave it as at 100%. Let me stretch this out so that our end is at 0 and it goes to 100. Let it think about it here. Come on. Okay. But what's really cool is if I alt-click on the start, right now the end is what I animate. If I alt-click on start and I take the pick whip, I can bring it right up here to end, and then basically the start is going to be in the exact same spot as the end. So if I go and I add maybe -10, it means that it's going to follow slightly after the, and let's go ahead and uncheck stroke sequentially. It's going to follow just after the end. So there will be a line that forms, and then right behind it, the line is going to, you know, it's going to come on and then come off. But as a result, you kind of get a little bit of a shimmery, shiny result that here as I just do it, it kind of almost looks like it could be a glow or a reflection or maybe a glimmer, especially when you start playing with the settings. So let me turn the base solid on. Again, I'm doing some other rendering stuff in the background, so I probably should have stopped all that before I started. And then let's change maybe this color to something that'll make it pop, maybe just like a nice blue. And then we can turn up our brush size to maybe 10. We'll go forward a little ways and see how this is going to look. Might not be the prettiest thing in the world. That's a little too thick. Maybe we'll knock it down to 5. But if we do the same sort of deal where we have our opacity start at 0 and then work its way up to 100, and maybe I'll do it right here. Work its way up to 100. This could kind of be a cool reveal to have it start outlining first, and not fully outlining, but just kind of adding a little bit of a, you know, a glimmer, especially if you add some sound effects or something to it. This could kind of provide you some cool options. So again, the end result in this example isn't perfect, but you can definitely see how there could be some good potential here. And again, without the fade in of the solid underneath, we just have, you know, just a glimmer. It would be kind of cool if maybe you had like a yellow logo with like a different, you know, like an offset yellow, or maybe a brighter yellow so that it kind of looked like a glow or a glimmer or reflection. So anyway, this is it. It's a quick tip. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you have any questions or if you have any cool examples of using this, give me a holler. I'd love to see it. All right. Have a good one, guys.